Don't apologize. I think my computer's lagging just a bit. They weren't syncing up. Good evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us on another edition of the Nightmare Hunters. In the studio with me tonight is Robbie Jed Rains. Hopefully, we be coming to you clear. We've got storms in the area around me, so that might be why my computer was acting weird. Because when I started the show, it actually started on YouTube before it actually did on my screen, which I don't know why. Maybe that didn't really affect anything. Well, I guess we'll keep our fingers crossed and find out. But other than that, Robbie, how the hell are you, brother?
Doing good. Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Folks, this time next week, we will be in Ohio. So there won't be a show next Saturday night. We'll have a regular show on Wednesday, and we should be back in time for Monday Mayhem a week from Monday. But there won't be a show on Saturday because we will be at that convention in Ohio. Uh, if I can set it up, I might do like a remote live from there if I've got good enough signal. But it'll just be, a short one as we walk around the convention and talk to folks. But no promises on that because I don't know how the internet signal is going to be. But
Yep.
beyond that, it'll be regular shows as usual, except for Saturday night. We'll kind of play that one by ear to see what kind of internet signal we've got there.
Yeah, we got a pretty busy week until then too,
Oh yeah,
show wise.
yeah. I'm supposed to pop on with Brett Sturdivant tomorrow night after 10. Then we've got our show on Monday. Then we've got um, we're doing
American whiskey.
American whiskey on Tuesday. That I think it's 7 your time, six
I think.
mine. We'll be on American whiskey on Tuesday. Then Wednesday we'll have our show, and Thursday's a travel day, so we won't have much on us on Thursday. But we got a pretty busy schedule over the next few days.
Yep. Pretty busy.
Uh, Arlen said, I said this Wednesday night. D, I'm sorry, but I have but one subscription to vote for this channel. Hey man, I appreciate it though. Also, we are what would I say 64 away from the 10K.
64, 65, I think. Something. It
63 at this moment. We're at 99.37. So we need 63 to hit the 10K mark, which we are getting there. We're getting there close. Got a bunch of people already with us, over 100 in the chat already.
yep.
And we think we've got a pretty good show for you guys tonight. I know we've all heard of mermaids. We've been hearing about them for since we were kids. But how many of you have heard of pressure wraiths? Very similar, not quite the same thing. Apparently, some scientific expeditions to the bottom of the Marianas Trench have seen what has been described as possibly humanoid things at the edge of camera, um, moving it at speed and at great depth. Uh, the bottom of the bottom of the Challenger Deep, the deepest part of the Marianas Trench, is over 7 miles down. And to kind of put that in reference for you, the pressure outside of a submarine would be 1,000 times Earth's atmosphere. So what you're sitting there in your living room right now is 1 times 1x at 1 times atmosphere. The bottom of the Marianas, the Challenger Deep, would be 1,000 times that, and that would crush most of us up into basically something the size of a cub. I mean, there wouldn't be enough left to even identify. So that's pretty wicked deep. But for them to see something moving down there, well, first off, the Marianas, we've already seen plenty of weird crap at the bottom of the Marianas. There's that one video that we've seen floating around where something that has clearly got the side gills like a shark goes by one of those camera platforms, and they estimate it to be in excess of 60 feet long because of the time that it takes to go by it and the measurement and the speed. So yeah, that could lend credence to the possibility of megalodon being down there. But here's the thing: the Challenger Deep is the deepest part of the ocean that we know of. We like we said before, we've only explored what is it like 4 to 5% of the ocean.
Like 5%, I think.
So there could be places that are actually deeper than the Challenger Deep. We've done very accurate sonar readings of most of the ocean. Our Navy has done sonar readings all the time, especially for submarine travel, but that doesn't mean they've discovered it. Hey, thank you, Travis. Appreciate you sponsoring the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you becoming a member. Um, Travis said, 41 months. Holy moly, dude, that is awesome. One month close to the 4-year mark. Proud to be one of the longest YouTube members. Appreciate you guys. Love the show with us watching all. Hey, thank you so much. Those guys were a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a good time on that show.
As soon as we get done with the convention next weekend, we're going to be planning to not only me and Robbie being back on their show, but having them on here as well. So I think it's going to be a good time. Wow, Monica says, "Where is the Mariana?" It's in the southern portion of the Pacific Ocean. It's off of if you could locate Guam, it's south of the Philippines and I believe west of Guam. I could see if I could pull it up on a map, but it's in the deep open ocean. Let me see if I can find it. Let me find a map of it. Yeah, I've got a pretty good one here. I've just got to share the screen. Let me share this real fast. Okay, if you look at this map, here's the Philippines. Philippines right here, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Australia, Japan. The Mariana Trench runs right about here. And the Challenger Deep being north of Papua New Guinea and east of the Philippines and almost directly south of Japan. It is one of the deepest places on the ocean we've ever recorded. But since we've only explored a limited amount of the ocean, I think it's entirely possible, especially when you start getting beneath Arctic ice, which has not been explored near as much. I think there's likelihood of something even deeper out there. But when you start thinking about the depth of the Marianas Trench, the Challenger Deep again is 7 miles down.
Long Queen wants to know how close that is to the Devil's Triangle.
Devil's Triangle, isn't that? Let me look. I don't think it's that close. Devil's Triangle is another nickname for the Bermuda Triangle, and that's in the Atlantic off of Florida. So it's nowhere near it. It's a long way away, like other side of the planet. But one thing about the Challenger Deep is there's very few people that have ever been down there. There's been some unmanned submersibles go down there, but I think all told, there's probably been less than a dozen people have ever gone down that deep because it takes a highly specialized sub.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking twice the depth of the
the
Titanic.
Not one made in a garage somewhere,
right?
Controlled by video game controllers.
Right. The Titanic is just around 17,000 feet. The Challenger Deep is 36,000 feet deep. That is almost 7 miles.
I mean, that's how high most passenger planes cruise above the Earth.
Yeah, that's astoundingly deep.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like sitting here in my house and almost to Ozark, Missouri. All of that being water on the way down. They said that if you dropped, because of water density, if you dropped a solid sphere of steel into the water over the Marianas Trench, it would still take close to 45 minutes for it to hit the ground. Because the water density will slow it down. But even at free fall, it's still going to take like 45 minutes to hit the ground. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could what is it, 4 or 5 Empire State Buildings that you could stack on top of each other and still wouldn't reach. If you started at the bottom of the trench, they still wouldn't reach the top.
Yeah, this is yeah, I mean it it's it's kind of mind blowing, really, when you think about how deep that is, because it's just absolutely well, to coin to use a pun, unfathomable, because water at that deep, it's one, it's well below freezing, and two, light doesn't get that deep.
Yeah,
You start losing daylight at what, about 200 feet, Robbie?
yeah, somewhere around there. It starts getting the sunlight. Uh, I think it's like 160 feet where the somewhere around in there is where it starts losing. The Long Queen said sorry, she meant Dragon's Triangle, not Devil's Triangle.
Oh, okay, all right. Let me look. I'm not even sure where the Dragon's Triangle is. Come on, my computer's being stupid.
Now that experimental sub, I think, was around the Titanics where they were going to look for that, right? Da.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's where the experimental sub went down with those people. The one I was talking about, it was made in the guy's basement.
Hmm. And the funny thing is Josh Gates was supposed to go down on that.
Yeah, and
That
he did a tour of it, and he was like, "No."
no, he went on one of the test dives off of Bahamas in like a couple
Oh, I didn't.
100 feet of water, and he was like,
I thought he just toured
"No,
it in the
no."
on dry
He went
dock.
on one of the he
I didn't
went
think
on
he
one of the
actually got
test
in it.
dives in just a few 100 feet of water, and when he got back to the surface, he's like, "No, not a chance." Um, this says that the Devil's Triangle, uh,
Dragons.
Dragon's Triangle, yeah, Dragon's Triangle, yeah, it's actually fairly close to that. Yeah, in fact, if I'm looking at this correctly, the Dragon's Triangle actually almost parallels the Mariana's Trench,
Hmm.
so it's right there in that same area. And there's been lots of ships go missing there.
Yeah, and Dorothy's asking about blind fish. I would say most everything at that depth would probably be pretty much
Yeah,
blind.
yeah. Anything at that level, at that kind of depth, the only light they would ever see anyway would be like bioluminescence.
Yeah, which Altman actually, and I thought he did a pretty good job with that in the novel, talking about that. Because the Meg was essentially blind when it came up through that thermocline,
Mm-hmm.
and it hunted by sound and smell. Uh, so I thought he did a pretty good job with that in that book.
That was a pretty good book.
They just kind of
Um,
in the movie they just kind of glossed over that part.
yeah, they didn't figure anybody would question it.
Nah.
But part of the sightings in that area actually are attributed to not only the United States Navy, but the Japanese Navy, the Chinese Navy, and the Australian Navy. For decades, they've been picking up what they refer to as sonar anomalies in that area. They're picking up strange signals coming from the trench itself, followed by sightings of humanoid figures moving at unnatural speed and with intelligent coordination. These weren't dolphins or squid. They moved like they were intelligent, like they weren't just responding, they were reacting to the stimulus around them. In fact, this one I found reference to it, but I can't find anybody willing to go out on a limb and admit who it was. But allegedly, uh, some versions say it was a Chinese submersible, some say it was Japanese, but allegedly a submersible went down into an experimental submersible went down into the Marianas and actually collided with something. And they described it as being a pale humanoid figure with elongated limbs and deliberate motion. And they felt it actually impact the side of the sub and then heard the claws raking along the sub as it was looking for a way in.
Hmm.
Supposedly, there's footage from that submersible, but I can't find it. The article I read about it said that yeah, it was either a Japanese or a Chinese scientific expedition, and they were actually able to film some of these creatures, but no film has been forthcoming. But allegedly, the first people to actually spot them were the ones that coined the phrase pressure wraiths. To me, it just sounds like another version of the mermaid legend, but this one would be at depths in excess of 10 kilometers.
Well, I mean, you got animals like sperm whales and giant squid that can traverse the entire. I mean, I don't know what the max depth for a sperm whale is, but it's pretty deep because
They
that's
can
what it
go
feeds on.
miles down. We know that.
So if it's you could imagine that it's possible that it's all the same thing. It's just some they probably stay deeper. I mean, because like think about the giant squid. You hardly ever see them unless it's at night and they just happen to surface, or a fishing trawler brings up a dead one because
Mhm.
they stay that deep. So I mean, but they do come to the surface. So maybe it's the same thing as mermaids are all the same. It's just they stay deep and they only come up to the surface at certain times, or come close to the surface rather.
Marianne said something about sounds like kind of like a siren. Yeah, I can see where the old legends of the sirens could apply to these as well. Um, but what if it's something? What if it's something more sinister? What if these things are down there as guardians? What if they're there to keep us out of certain areas?
I mean, stranger things have happened. So I mean,
Because they're showing signs of intelligence.
the you think Disney got it wrong? They're not
Oh, yeah. I
happy
don't think
go
mermaids
lucky.
are cute, cuddly, and friendly. Uh, what if there's a civilization down there, even if it's an alien civilization? What if
Or I
they're
mean,
down there to keep us away?
what if it? I mean, because we've talked many times about Atlantis may not have been the only. That
Well,
may have
there's
just been
the
an
legends
outpost.
of Lemuria, which
Yeah.
Lemuria would have been right in that area.
So I mean,
And then you add to that just how many times people have reported flying objects going into the ocean, UFOs.
yeah. Well, and if you think about um the DC comics and Marvel with with the Submariner,
Hmm.
but DC with Aquaman, they always talked about the seven kingdoms, and there were seven kingdoms under the ocean, one kingdom for the ocean, each ocean. So who's to say that just Atlantis was the only one that we knew about because it was the biggest and the one that was closest to the surface, so to speak.
Well, here's a little bit of food for thought. Do you remember when we had Heath on the show, Heath Stalkup?
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Yeah.
an ex he was an ex Navy submariner, and I put the question to him: what are the odds of a naval ship running into a previously unknown mountain? What happened with the Seawolf class submarine a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "No, that just doesn't happen." So what did that Seawolf hit? And that Seawolf hit what it struck was remarkably close to the Marianas. It was in that same area. And here's the part that should give everybody a moment to think. If you ask the U.S. Navy right now what the maximum depth of a Los Angeles class attack submarine is, which is a much older bit of technology than the Seawolf, but if you ask them, I've asked these guys point blank, how deep can the Los Angeles class dive? And they'll say, without a crack in a smile, that they can dive in excess of 120 feet. Now, scuba divers can go deeper than
Yeah.
that. But here's the thing: U.S. submarine data is highly classified. They will not tell you how deep. But because I've done some deep, pardon the pun, deep dive research into submarines while I'm preparing for the book Leviathan Down, no code name Wild Hunt Leviathan Down. And here's the funny part: when you stop concentrating on American subs and start concentrating on Russian subs, the information that is available suddenly isn't classified anymore, and you can find things that I'm sure the Russians don't want you to know. But
Mhm.
the Americans are not afraid to just say it. So I challenge any of you guys that have been in the military to argue with me on this. But one of the hallmarks of American technology is it's always been better than the Russians. The Russians' technology might be strong, might be over engineered from hell, but they're still operating like technology level 40 years behind us.
Well,
So
they still have diesel subs and active diesel subs in
they
their
still
navy,
have active diesel subs.
and
They do have nuclear subs,
but
but
we haven't had active diesel subs in our navy for what,
probably
20,
since
30
the
years?
70s,
Seven,
probably since
yeah.
the 70s or 80s. So here's the thing. Anybody that's been in the military knows our crap's generally a lot technologically a lot better than the Russians. Now I found documents that I've made copies of that talk about Russian attack submarines being capable of diving in excess of 3,000 meters, not feet, in excess of 3,000 meters. So if their subs can do it, it's not a big leap of the imagination to think ours can too. So if you've got a Russian
or
attack
or
sub that can
deeper.
go or deeper, 3,000 meters that's 10,000 feet. So how deep was the Seawolf when it hit what it hit? Because those underwater mountains don't move, and they claim they accidentally struck a previously uncharted underwater mountain. Don't buy that for a second. They hit something, and it's not just that they hit something. It's as soon as that ship, that sub, was able to make an emergency surface and limp its way to Pearl Harbor. As soon as they were able to say, "Hey, we hit something," the U.S. Navy immediately put in orders to recall every Seawolf class submarine back to base. Every one of them put back to base for some sort of upgrade. If they'd have run into a mountain down there, why would they need to do anything but update the dive charts for the other subs? But they hit something, or something hit them, and they immediately pulled the rest of them. And the one that did strike whatever it was managed to limp its way to Guam for repairs. Guess what else happened in that area?
What's that?
The Bloop. You familiar with the Bloop?
Seems like I should be, but I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, yeah, you're going to like this. The Bloop was recorded in 1997 by the NOAA, National Oceanographic and Aerospace Administration. NOAA recorded the Bloop on hydrophones all across the Pacific Ocean. It was an ultra powerful, ultra low frequency sound, heard for more than 5,000 kilometers in every direction. Their sensors said whatever it is, it's biological. Now later they've tried to say, oh, it was just glaciers calving or stuff like that. But when they first came forward, they flat out said, we don't know what it is, but it's massive and it's biological. Now people are speculating, say it's maybe some sort of giant sea creature, bigger than a blue whale. Other people say, it was ice quakes or massive collapse of ice shelves. But the fact that they admitted when they first recorded it that it was biological, to me, rules out the possibility of it being ice shelves. It says that it means there's something down there bigger than a blue whale, capable of emitting a noise that's heard over 5,000 kilometers in every direction. And that's not
Hmm.
far from where the Seawolf was struck. So tie that in to this phenomenon near Challenger Deep. The Bloop is something that's kind of fascinated me for a long time since I first heard about it. I mean, it was being recorded fairly regularly for a while, and I honestly believe they're still recording it. They just stopped talking about
Hmm.
it.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. The Whether it was Japanese or Chinese submersible, that happened earlier this year. Stories started getting out this year that it supposedly that this sub was tracking sonar anomalies when it struck something. They saw a pale looked like they described as white humanoid figures with very long arms and tails like dolphins. Um, and they were saying that the only way that these things could maneuver down there is if they possess some sort of sonar pulse technology or ability, much like we were saying that
Well,
we believe Bigfoot does with the tongue pops.
well, just to go back to your point on the the Russian subs versus the American subs. Historically, Russian submarines have had the capability to dive deeper than their U.S. counterparts, with some Soviet era sub designs holding a record for the deepest dives. However, modern Russian attack submarine designs, like the Anson class, are not necessarily superior in depth to the latest U.S. attack submarines, such as the Virginia class, and U.S. submarines have the advantage of stealth and other systems. While specific depth capabilities are classified, the advantage in depth diving has diminished in modern designs, and the U.S. and Russian submarines are now considered more closely matched in capability, with the U.S. generally retaining an advantage.
Well, the paper I read was on a Russian submarine from the 80s that said that at the time they knew it could dive in excess of 3,000 meters.
So, and what I read just before that, I didn't read that on there, but I was just doing a little bit more. But it said, I just said, what is the dive depth of the Seawolf class? And it said 3,000 feet. So it's given that little.
So if they'll admit it, you could probably double or even triple it.
Yeah, yeah. If they're admitting 3,000, then you could look at 6 to 7, maybe even
Maybe
10.
even more. That's um that's food for thought anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly interesting.
Yeah,
Um, and the deeper these subs are capable of going, the more places like the Challenger Deep may open up its secrets to us. But what if one of the reasons they won't tell us what's down there is because they know there's something intelligent down
it's a very distinct possibility.
there? Yeah, and the bloop is one that still freaks me out because
Oh,
you can Google the bloop, you can find recordings of it here on YouTube. And it sounds like something alive. When you because it's played extremely slow, but when they sped it up, the bloop it had a regular rhythm to it, much like whale song.
Miss Lene's got a very good point.
What's that?
So do you think the trench may be an entrance to an ocean below our surface oceans, and maybe the creatures are guarding it? So maybe
That
there's an ocean underneath the ocean, and I know we don't.
what was that line you like to quote from the Bible that
It
about Noah's flood?
it said that the fountains of the deep broke open. So there was, according to the Bible, there was water in the earth. So when those fountains broke open and it water from above and below. So it rained and the water come from below. So once the water started receding, there was no way all that water could go back where it was at. So it's very possible that there's way more stuff down there than we're even conceiving.
Right. And we know that a lot of our water that we drink comes from underground aquifers. I mean, the Ogallala aquifer that we got water from in New Mexico actually is under like 6 states. Uh, it's those aquifers are very prevalent, and they're basically massive underwater oceans. I mean, well, a lot
Well,
of them are freshwater, but you got to remember when we're talking about the Earth's crust, that's miles and miles thick. So for us to have another ocean below our ocean level is completely conceivable.
well, if you think about it in those terms, and they say that the Earth is what 70% water,
Hmm.
that's based on what we can see.
Right.
It's very possible that the Earth is more or a higher percentage water than that.
Oh yeah. Uh, there's multiple layers of the Earth's crust, all the way from the inner core the outer core, the mantle, the asthenosphere, and the actual outer crust. Well, even the outer crust is estimated to be over 100 kilometers thick.
It's pretty thick.
Yeah, that's a you could easily have an underwater if if it's 100 kilometers thick and the deepest part of the Challenger Deep is 7 miles. You could easily have another 7 mile deep ocean and not even disrupt that 100 kilometer thick crust.
Hmm. I mean, that's mind blowing when you stop and think about something 7 miles deep is that's a lot of water, and that's a lot for us to think about. But that's not even that's equates to a surface scratch on a car that you can buff out when you talk about how thick the crust is.
Crazy Kev says, "Did you guys see the stories of underwater cables missing in the Baltic?" I've heard that. I've also heard that there's a growing number of reports of sharks attacking underwater cables. We don't know why. Uh, let's see. The physical descriptions of these things that were supposedly seen in the Marianas: pale, eyeless, with elongated limbs that are adapted for extreme pressure and darkness. Described their tails as being more eel-like than dolphin-like, broad, flat, and built for stealth in the crushing depths. Also with clawed hands, capable of capable to grip just like ours, or dragging prey back into the dark waters. They believe they're ambush predators said to attack in coordinated groups using sonar like pulses to disorient their prey. They believe they're intelligent and may even be able to mimic human voices. They definitely respond to light and movement with almost tactical like precision. They also believe that they're very territorial. Depending on what part of the trench you're in, you may or may not get driven out of it. But when you look back at history, this is not new. We're not breaking new territory here. Mermaid lore and mermaid type creatures go back thousands of years. There's one called Atargatis. The first recorded mermaid was an Assyrian myth in 700 BC. She was the goddess of fertility and water who transformed after drowning herself in grief. There's the Lingyu, from Chinese lore, which is a fish-bodied, human-faced creature said to sing and weep, sometimes seen as a bad omen. And even in modern fiction, there's a lady named Mira Grant who wrote a book called "Into the Drowning Deep" that was about the Marianas Trench and a scientific expedition that were attacked and killed by what they described as deep sea mermaids. So it's even prevalent in modern fiction, but the stories go back, over 2,000 years. To ancient Assyria, Chinese myth. Um, let's see. Again, we already covered that the Challenger Deep at the bottom would have over 1,000 atmospheres of pressure, um, which would crush just about anything. Oh, got a super chat. Thank you, Ventus. Ventus Brumeth 1039 said, "Salinity affects density. There are waterfalls underwater in the ocean, and once went in a cave where you couldn't touch the bottom because of it. You could have two oceans against each other and not a mix. Exactly. In submarines they call those um, what I know the term. Well, when submarines trying to remember the thermocline. They call it a thermocline,
Thermocline, yep.
where water density is completely different from like you've got to pass through the thermocline to get to the water that's more dense. They actually use the thermocline to hide from enemy sonar. So yeah, the water at certain densities just abruptly changes as you pass through these thermoclines. Um, they were saying uh, that the life forms at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, despite the extreme pressure, they found what they call snailfish, amphipods, and xenophilophores live there, suggesting adaptations could export supports all kinds of diverse biology at that depth. There's only been a handful of people that have ever actually made it down there. But there was a diver named Victor Vescovo. He took a submersible down there, and I think it was in 2019 or 2020, and he actually found trash that had sunk from the surface down there. Chunks of plastic waste that down at the bottom, which to me is just human litter getting where it doesn't belong. But
Yeah.
that was even found down there. Let's see. Um, oh, some more accounts. Pliny the Elder in the 1st century AD described what he called nereids, sea nymphs with rough, scaly bodies seen sitting on dolphins or found dead washed up on shore. In the 2nd century in France, Gaul of France, mermaid corpses were reportedly washed ashore during a storm. The governor of Gaul actually wrote Emperor Augustus of Rome describing these creatures and asking what he wanted to do about it. In the Middle Ages, between somewhere around 1040 to 1105, a Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, was in France, and he described seeing what he called serene, half human, half fish creatures described in the Talmud. Later rabbis noted that they had breasts, long hair, and sang beautifully. In the 13th century in Greenland, something called the Speculum regale described a mermaid with webbed fingers and fish-like lower body said to appear before storms, casting fish toward ships as omens. 1493, Christopher Columbus claimed that they saw 3 mermaids near Hispaniola. He noted that, his description said, they were not as pretty as they were depicted and resembled men. So what he saw was probably manatees, but who knows? I mean, I wasn't there.
Miss Naoma's got a really interesting point.
Shoot, Miss Naoma.
If in the Bible, the abyss is the first chaotic, watery place from which God created the earth, and then later it is the holding place for demons of hell, might not the mermaids be guardians of the gates of hell?
That's a very good point. Maybe they are. Maybe the floods from the deep. Maybe they released some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1700s, Blackbeard the pirate notated in his logbook, warning other ships to stay out of certain areas, to what he referred to as enchanted waters, because they were known for dangerous mermaid encounters. Henry Hudson, when he was exploring the Arctic, he reported seeing creatures with human torsos and porpoise-like tails during his northern expeditions up into Hudson Bay. Hell, even now, in Fiji and Zimbabwe in the early 2000s, local legends and tourist reports describe mermaids near waterfalls and lakes. Some claim they lure swimmers to their death or protect sacred waterfalls. And then, of course, we got what's going on in the Marianas today.
Northwood says his ex has been mistaken for a manatee before.
I knew that was coming.
But we
have discovered large creatures living at that depth. The Dumbo octopus, also known as Grimpoteuthis, the Grimpoteuthis, deepest living octopus, named for its ear-like fins with no ink sac and few predators at that depth. The largest recorded one was 1.8 meters long. The Mariana snailfish is the deepest fish ever recorded, found starting at around 8,000 meters. It's completely translucent, feeds on amphipods, and was named after Herbert Swire of the HMS Challenger expedition.
Yeah, I just wonder if, the sightings were so prevalent back then because that was our main form of transportation before we started flying. Now there's shipping lanes and that, but it's mostly cargo. It's not people. I know there are
ships are so big, nobody's like down at water level like they used
to be. So, back then, the UFO sightings were not as prevalent. As soon as we start taking to the sky, stuff like that starts taking precedence over what we see, and this stuff just kind of goes by the wayside. But once we start getting the military with their, high tech equipment that stays down water level and below,
Mhm.
These sightings start happening again. So, it's just, I think they've always been there. It's just, it was so much more prevalent back then because, like you said, boats were not as big or ships were not as big, and people were closer to the water level, and there was always somebody on deck because somebody had to be up here watching for stuff at that time. It wasn't like they didn't have the sophisticated navigational equipment that a lot of these ships nowadays can navigate without somebody even being at the helm for extended periods of time.
Navigate by satellite.
Yeah, so sightings of stuff like that will probably go down nowadays in the shipping lanes and places like that where it wouldn't have back then, because you always had somebody at the wheel. You always had somebody in the crow's nest or in the bow.
Every once in a while the Coast Guard will find a ship just perfectly intact with food aboard and everybody on board just gone.
Yeah,
it happens. I mean, it's happened recently. Monica Davis says, unless the military or government officials create a device to see into the spirit world. I think they already have. Because you guys may or may not be familiar with the story of the first generations of night vision technology that was used in Lake Korea and early Vietnam, where gunners and chopper pilots would open fire on what they called demons and dragons in the sky. I'm planning on doing a show on that. They call that what is that? It's a special type of glass, cyanate glass. It was first invented in England in the late 1800s, and the guy who invented it claimed he could see all kinds of strange creatures. Uh, Dicyanin glass. I'm planning on doing a show on that soon because I got my hands on a set of dicyanin aura glasses, and I've only played around with them with a bit, but with them for a little bit. But even setting in my backyard, uh, yeah, things got a little weird before I took them off. So I want to take these places someplace where I've got somebody watching my back. So
bring them to Ohio with you.
I will. That'd be great. But they look just like. I'll take my glasses off and I'll put them on. They look just like regular sunglasses, but these are like no freaking glasses I have ever put on. First time I put them on, I was astounded. And yes, they do just look like sunglasses, but it's a very special type of lens, and it doesn't just turn everything blue. It gives everything its own aura. I mean, like an after image. And I had them on here at my desk the other night, and saw someone walk from my bathroom into the kitchen, and I was the only one in the house. Everybody else was gone. Needless to say, I got it and cleared the house. But yeah, these I need somebody along to do observation and note observations. Robbie's volunteering, uh, and I want to make sure somebody's watching my back, and I want to document what we find.
But I get to wear them too.
Oh yeah, we'll trade off. They're dicyanate glasses, and I'm telling you, it's bizarre. Even looking at your own hand, it looks different. It looks odd. It's not like any pair of sunglasses I've ever worn. It gives everything like an unearthly.
Harold said, "Da, obey."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
because that's when you start talking about that, is exactly what I was thinking about. Was they live?
Yeah, but
I have come to chew bubble gum and kick ass. I'm all out of gum.
Yeah, so we will. When I've got Robbie with me, we're going to experiment with these things, and maybe if we do it early enough, I get there Thursday night early enough. Maybe we'll go find us a cemetery or something to try them in, because I've heard people say that they've actually seen full apparitions walking around graveyards with these things on.
Speaking of that, have you heard the thing about Tesla? The Tesla cars.
Oh yeah, yeah. How they're the
You
Tesla
drive,
cars will, if you
you
drive by
drive
a
by a
cemetery,
cemetery.
it shows people walking around.
Mm-hmm.
A little freaky. Northwest Native says Native Trackers, people who are colorblind in the blue spectrum see the same thing. But in Vietnam, the first generation of night vision gear that they were given to pilots and door gunners um, were using some of that. What do they call it again? Dicyanin glass in the vision gear, and they were opening fire on what they again described as demons and dragons in the air. They had to pull them from service because it drove some guys crazy. There were guys who literally went nuts because of what they saw.
I can imagine. I can 100% see that happening.
Main House says they say you can see demons with those glasses. Well, I can tell you just from wearing them a few minutes in my house one night when I was the only one here, I straight up saw a full body go from that doorway just over here behind my computer from the bathroom into my kitchen, and I was the only one in the house. And I immediately grabbed El Glocko 19 and went to clearing the house. Harley even reacted. He was over here asleep next to me, and he looked up. And I was like, what the hell was that? So I got the gun and cleared the house. There's nobody else in the house. The house was still locked. And I was still pretty shook up when Annette and the boys got home. I was like, yeah, that was weird. Northwood says, I don't need to see another demonic thing. 3 years I was with my ex is more than enough. But what else I would like to do is, if Robbie and I both have experiences with this, I want to try to hook up an adapter and put my phone camera through it.
I got one of those telescopes or whatever that you hook to your phone. I bet we could probably use that and look through that and put it on the phone.
I mean, you put those things on and look at your own hand, and even your own hand looks. You can see what the people refer to as an aura. You can see like a fuzz of light around your body. Hillary says eBay has them for $59. Dicyanin glasses, yeah, that's the ones. They're made of plastic. They're not it's made with the same process, but these are just plastic. I want a set of the actual glass ones, but those are a bit pricey and hard to find. Thanks, Main House. Appreciate it. But yeah, I've had these things for a little while, and I've been very skeptical about using them because I haven't had anybody around to watch my back. Noah works all the time, and I don't want to do it around Annette and the boys because if something does react, last thing I want to do is bring it home to my family. But I'm going to take these with me to Ohio, and me and Robbie are going to see what happens. Kenneth Calloway says, Casey says, does the color around the people alternate or change different colors to different people? I don't know. I haven't worn them around a bunch of people, but I can tell that, looking at my own hand, that sometimes it looks like it's pale blue. Other times it almost looks green. Just my own color seems to change a little bit. Yeah, they're pretty bizarre, and I was planning on doing an entire show on them, but I want to actually have some research done and data to share with you. So, but yeah, we'll be me and Robbie are gonna. Well, if there's gonna be a couple of idiots willing to poke the bear, it's gonna be us.
Yeah, it's not that I'm the sacrifice. We're sacrificial to each other now.
Yeah, we're willing to go into the ugly together, but I don't want to risk my boys or my wife.
Don't you remember what Annette told us when we went to Combs Ferry that night? I don't care what happens to you two idiots.
Just bring my baby home. Larry Berlin says, DA, do you think you're seeing your soul in your body? I don't know what it is, but it's definitely interesting. I mean, Lisa Smith is kind of like the
Oh
glasses.
yeah,
Ghosts.
that's a good point. So apparently
Joseph
those
Ayers
kind of had a
was,
real world basis on them.
I tell you what, if you guys are going to be at the convention this coming weekend in Ohio, and I know Casey's going to be there, and Angel will be there, and Kevin's going to be there, but any y'all else that's going to be there, we'll that night when we have the bonfire after the VIP dinner, we'll pass these around. You can all try them.
Watch them while Naomi's telling one of her scary stories.
Yeah. Yeah, Miss Naomi start talking about creepy stories, and someone goes making a beeline for their truck. We'll know they worked. Yeah, Casey, we're trying to figure that out too. I didn't change any of my settings, but suddenly, YouTube started doing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's doing it to me too.
I'll ask Noah. Maybe he can figure it out. Hillary says, okay, what is the story about layering 2, maybe 3 pairs of 3D glasses to see UFOs? Don't know much about that, but I do know that that there are 2 distinctly different types of dicyanin glasses, and the red ones are harder to find. You can find the blue ones pretty easy. I really want a pair of the red ones, but I don't have the money I'd have to finance bubblegum right now.
Well, okay, think of what Hillary just said. You said red and blue. What are 3D glasses? The lens colors, red and blue.
Yeah, I'd like to get a hold of a pair of the red dicyanin glasses.
So, what if what she's talking about by layering? What if it's you got 2 or 3 pairs, and you alternate? Like, say you got 2 blue lenses, and you put a red lens in between one, and then you got 2 red lenses, and put the other blue lens in between.
Or
that.
red on one side and blue on the other side. Miss Lene says, got any pictures of what's in the trench? No, I'm afraid we do not. Everything I've tried to find, I couldn't even find copies of the videos. I find references to them.
You guys,
Nozzle that chicken. That'll be Doc.
Yeah. No, Doc would be Doc. Say, she's my butterfly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would definitely be Billy. Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm in the spirit world, asshole. But yeah, Miss Lene, I've been digging for days looking for pictures. I can find like AI representations and things like that, but I cannot find any of the actual footage. I think a lot of it, if it's true that our Navy has been recording some of this, that it's probably classified. Northwood says can't afford to do any more traveling this year. Maybe I can be at the conference next year. Dude, that'd be awesome. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Casey. Really appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, Casey.
You the man, brother. Yeah, when we go to Miss Naoma's bonfire stories, we'll pass these bad boys around, see what kind of experiences folks have on them. And it's not like you can just put it on and everything happens. You got to put them on and then just kind of watch for a little bit, because nothing happens quick. You just start noticing little things. And I was sitting in my backyard with them on one night just after dusk, and I started noticing what I thought were fireflies in the yard. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen fireflies in weeks, because it was just a couple of weeks ago I was doing this. The weather had already started cooling down. And I was like, oh, I've got fireflies. And I took them off and there wasn't anything there. I was like, okay, what the hell was I just looking at? So, yeah. It's subtle at first, and then things start changing. I had them on for maybe 10 minutes when I saw the figure walk across that opening over there. Yeah, and I straight up thought, hey, there's somebody in the freaking house with me. I took them off, grabbed my glasses, and grabbed my Glock, and went through the entire house. I mean, I even checked closets in the bathroom, it wasn't like I just got a glimpse of something. I saw straight up a full person walk across that doorway and into my kitchen. Hillary says probably shouldn't partake in spirits while wearing them. Maybe not.
Who knows? May help.
It might make it even better. Lisa says send a pair to Doc. He'll panic and start waving that yellow BS flag around. You know, I wish I'd had us another pair of these for Doc because he could have took them to the St. James Hotel and
Man,
down to Tombstone.
Yeah, he's in the Oriental right now, or he was earlier.
Yeah. Well, hell, if you can get you in Lebanon here in Missouri, I got 3 cemeteries, including the Wilson's Creek battlefield right here by town.
Well, Moon Valley would probably be a interesting place to wear those.
Yeah, especially over at the what's left of the old cannibal house
Or the dollhouse.
or the doll house. Hell, the valley itself.
Problem is, we just wouldn't be able to get Doc to slow down long enough to see anything at the dollhouse.
Yeah, he's not slowing down. Lone Queen, the only in the research I did, the only 2 colors I found for these dicyanin glasses was red and blue. Current night vision that the military uses is green. So I'm going to guess green probably doesn't pick up anything like that, or we get a lot more reports of people going, what the hell is that thing in the night vision gear? So I don't think green has any effect, but red and blue both seem to have, the red was supposedly worse. That's what the color was they were using in Vietnam with the pilots going insane. Pagan, that's going to get tried eventually. Maybe we may not have Doc with us, but we'll go out there and try it.
I'll try anything twice.
Yeah. You can pretty much guarantee if it's a bad idea, Robbie and I are probably going to try it. But what Miss Neoma was saying about, the fountains of the deep, maybe those things are something like that, some sort of biblical guardian.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the 7 seals is supposed to be in the ocean, or in a ocean, not the ocean. I may be wrong on that, but it seemed like I remember hearing something about one of the 7 seals. Miss Naomi, you might know a little bit more about that than I do.
I'm going to consult the Googles, but it's not always reliable. This says none of the seals were in the ocean.
Well, I don't know why I remember hearing that, but I might have heard it from somebody that wasn't reliable then.
But again, it's just Google, so I could be completely wrong. But I find it really intriguing that's very close to the area where the bloop was heard. Because that story's kind of freaked me out for a long time. If the bloop was something biological, they estimated it was massive, like way bigger than a blue whale. And the reason we haven't been able to find it could easily be explained by 36,000 feet of water.
Yeah.
I'm going to check something real quick. Oh, cool. I found a set of red dicyanin glasses. They may not be true dicyanin, though. They're on eBay, so I don't know how. Let me see.
Good point, Kevin.
There's a set on eBay. Supposedly exactly what I'm looking for, but they're $250. Yeah, I'm not going to be getting those anytime soon.
Oh, look what Misty Omen just said. She
What's
just
she
did some
say?
research. It says the second seal was thrown into the sea, turning a third of it into blood, a third of the sea into blood. So maybe that's where was getting the sea thing was.
That could very well be it. If any of y'all would like to try the red glasses and tell me how they are, I'll just put the link in the chat. Any of you guys would like to get them and try them. A little out of my price range right now, but if you guys wanted to get a set of these and tell me what you think of them, I'd like to know if they work. They've also got blue ones in the same type of goggles for $99. So I guess the red ones are either harder to make or more rare.
Roxanne wants to know where you got yours.
They were a gift from a friend. I don't have their permission to say who it was, so I'm not going to put it out there. But it was a gift from a friend. I don't want to mention any names without, letting them know, without them telling me it's okay. Yeah, those seem to be the only red ones I'm finding. Might help if I was spelled dicyanin right, but it didn't. They still don't have it. Trying to change the keywords around a little bit. Not really helping. Here's a set of red dicyanin glasses from World War II. A bit more pricey. They're asking 815, but the current bid is at 580. So new. But that appears to be the only ones I'm actually finding that are what I'm looking for, so to speak. The rest of them are just like red framed glasses, like I didn't understand the request.
So, if I had to put a guess on what these things do, we humans can only see a small percentage of the light spectrum as it is.
Right.
So, what I would guess is this allows you to see in more spectrums.
Right. If you filter the dicyanin absorbs certain wavelengths of light. That's what it's designed to do, and the red and the blue absorb different wavelengths of light. So you're supposed to be able to, with the red and the blue. The blue says you're supposed to be able to see like spirits and auras, but the reds are the ones that were like nightmare visions, like demons and other things that are nightmares to see. So the red are the more, shall we say, dangerous of the two. Uh, I found that pair that I posted in the chat for 250, and I've got a pair of the blue, but they're not They're not the actual goggles; they're just sunglasses. Here's a pair of the blue goggles for $199. Here's a pair of blue Aura glasses for $79. Here's ones that are blue and red, like movie theater glasses. They're $36. So I guess it's really kind of up in the air on how authentically made they are. I don't know, but what we're seeing there is all fairly pricey. Yeah, who made them? These were by, let me check here. A company called auraglass.net. AURAGLO. Here, I'll just put it in here. Auraglasses.net. That's the website of the company that these came from. Miss Naomi says, ultimately what matters is whether or not they're treated with dicyanin. Correct. And I think these actually are, but they're not glass, they're plastic. I think it's multiple layers of plastic with the dicyanin in the middle, because the lenses are fairly thick. They're not just like regular sunglasses. They're fairly thick. So I think these were probably treated with dicyanin, but if I had the money, if money weren't an object, I'd get a pair of the actual glass process, red and blue, for. I think it would be better, but I've already seen weird results with just these. Northwood says that company's going to wonder why they got a huge increase in orders overnight.
What the hell?
But
sold 2 pairs of these things in the past year. Now we've sold 20 in one night.
Yeah, well, the plan is for the convention is I'll have Noah and Robbie there, and I'll wear them for a while and have them film my reaction or anything, pointing out anything I see, and then we'll patch them over to Robbie and see what he sees, and we even film Noah too if he wants to do it. Robin, they were a gift. Roxanne says, I went to Google and found the ones you have by that company on eBay for $69. Yeah. I would like to have the glass ones, but these are, again, I don't know how authentic the process is. I can't tell you. I don't know exactly how true to the process the company does, but I will tell you, I've seen some pretty weird crap with just those on. Wyatt says, I think I'll just not see what those glasses will do. I'm better off not knowing. Yeah, Joseph says, Wyatt may be right. Yeah, he might be.
Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa Ratliff says, gentlemen, regarding the dicyanin, I'm sure I slaughtered the spelling. Close enough. I seem to remember stories of experimental demon glasses from World War II that drove. Yes, that was the red ones. Those are the ones that are called the demon glasses. The blue ones are referred to as the spirit glasses. I would like to try both. Maybe I'm an idiot. Well, okay, you ask my wife. Yeah, I'm an idiot, but I still want to try it. Yeah, main house, exactly. I'm very curious. I'm pretty sure if I did see something very demonic, I'd probably never put them on again. I don't think it's going to drive me around the bend because unlike the poor pilots in Vietnam who did not expect anything, I'm going into it expecting something weird.
Yep.
Miss Naomi says, I'd honestly be too afraid to put them on and look in the mirror. It might lead to a self-awareness I'm not ready for.
Larry, if that was the one on Discovery, yes, I did watch that.
I was actually going to mention that they talked about what's known as the aquatic ape theory. The aquatic ape theory says that at some point in evolutionary process of apes becoming more intelligent, some of them started going into the water looking for food sources. They believe they've got fossil records to show that some of these apes were wading farther and farther out into the water looking for food. And at some point, they may have just abandoned the land entirely. Now, it's tough to say whether or not they actually breathe water, because that mermaid the mermaid documentary they made, that was all fiction, but it was all based on actual theories. Uh, the mermaid, the body found, I think that's what it was called. Um, it was a cool documentary, but at first I thought it was straight up legit until I started digging into it, and it was a mockumentary. But they did hit on some actual theories, and if aquatic ape theory has any veracity to it at all, it's entirely possible that at some point some sort of hominids did go back to the sea.
Northwoods is on roll tonight.
Eric says, "Will they make me look skinny again?" Probably not. It didn't work on me, so. So when it comes to, spirit glasses and looking at crazy things, there's a couple of idiots that'll do it. It'll be me and Robbie.
Yeah, pretty much. And Miss Annette will be sitting back rolling her eyes saying,
Yeah. I'll ask her if she wants to try them, and I'll get the no. I'm not an idiot.
and we've proven time and time again that we are.
No, yeah, more often than not. Robbie, can you keep him talking for just a minute? My diuretic is kicking in. I need
Yep.
to step away. Be right back.
Yeah. So, what's y'all's take on on what we've talked about the sonar hits or whatever they call them that we've talked about earlier? What do y'all think it could be? Molly's a big. You say you're a big chicken. You wouldn't put them on. Yeah, well, there's a fine line between stupidity and bravery. I think I'm closer on the stupidity side of it than the bravery side. Robin says he thinks they're Northwoods X. I'm sure Northwoods thinks that too. Yeah, man, I know it's got a lot of different possibilities. I mean, DA told a story about a buddy of his that told him, who was a submariner, that they had a biologic signature follow them for like 3 days, I think, never surfaced, and stayed right behind them for like 3 days. And it was supposedly bigger than the sub they were on. So, I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities of what's out there. But it's like we talked about, there's only 5% of the ocean that's been explored. And, once you get outside normal shipping lanes, that's it. The ocean is bigger than the land that we're on. So, I mean, who knows what's out there? Yeah. White, Godzilla.
Water.
Yeah. Godzilla. And, as crazy as it sounds, as deep and as much area as there is out there could very well be something, maybe not quite as big as what they portray him on the movies, but there could possibly, theoretically, be something that size out there. Because you're talking 35,000 feet worth of water. That could hide a lot of stuff, a lot of big stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Miss Lay. I mean, and who knows with all those nuclear tests that they did, you know, back in when did they do those tests in the French Atoll back in the
Back in the
60s,
40s and 50s.
40s and 50s? I mean, who knows what? Because most of that stuff was underwater that they detonated those.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it killed a lot of things, but who knows what it did to some other things, or who knows what it could have opened up.
Yeah, cracked open the fountains of the deep, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, we know mermaid lore goes back thousands of years. We know that. Christopher Columbus documented them. There's been lots of other explorers documented seeing these mermaid type creatures. What do you guys think? What do you all think they are? Do you think that these pressure wraiths? Do you think they're guarding something? Do you think they're just some sort of species of cryptid? Do you think you think they're there for a reason? What do you guys think? Larry Berlin says maybe it was the whale that Jonah lived in from the Bible. God knows. I mean, it was described. Didn't they
Well,
use it describe it as
like
a leviathan?
that one, no, Leviathan was something they described in Job.
Okay,
The what they never actually said a whale. It says the great fish. So I mean, it not necessarily. A lot of people think, or I've heard a lot of people say whale shark. That's what it was, and that would make sense for them calling it a great fish because that's a big fish. So it could have very well been something like that. But I've heard people say that they thought Leviathan was a T-Rex. I've heard them say it was that Sarcosuchus, which is that ancient crocodile that was 70 or 80 feet long. Had the big bowl on the end of its snout. But here's the thing: we don't. All we're doing is like we talk about with the Bigfoot stuff. It's all speculation. Nobody really knows.
right.
So Northwood says those tests were done from 46 to 54. Those nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll, which in the they actually used that theory in that first American Godzilla movie, Godzilla 1998.
When
That's
they
what
started talking about what was that project?
um, I can't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I can't remember what it was called
It just
either.
left me. But basically that's the theory that they went with. That it was just all those I guess they're not water monitors, but some a species of iguana that lived in that area, and it was mutated by the nuclear experiments. Mutated apparition is what they called it. Hillary said the Manhattan Project, was that the one you're talking about? That's the one with the ship, though, right?
Yeah, the
The
Manhattan Project
final
is where they
countdown.
designed the nuclear bomb. But if we're talking about from the movies, there was something. I want to say Morrow, but that was not Morrow.
Well, the that series on Apple that followed the Monarchs.
Monarch,
So
that's it.
yeah, there was a specific project that they were, and they kind of piggybacked off that. They were doing nuclear experiments out there, or they were going to try to kill Godzilla with a nuclear explosion. That's where they found out that he feeds on nuclear energy. But that was the that's the name of the corporation that, I don't know if it was really a corporation or just an entity that studied the Titans. Because all these Titans, and that's another thing. Tiamat, the Titan that they talked about in that movie franchise, lived in the ocean, lived around. If I'm not mistaken, I think it lived around the Mariana Trench.
Well, you remember they were talking about the Hollow Earth, about how the Kong and the Titans lived in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, well, they that's how they described how Godzilla moved around the Earth so fast and so efficiently and without being noticed, was all these, kind of like we said, it's more like a honeycomb than just like the crust. Like there's all kinds of tunnels and caves, and there's water in some, and some are like just big basket, like where Kong ended up in his part of the Godzilla versus Kong. That there was a whole ecosystem down there. I mean, even with its own natural lighting system.
And
So,
I like how they explained how the gravity changed, because in order for there to be that kind of ecosystem down there, that would happen.
mm-hmm.
It would have to happen.
Yeah. And where they had to make those special vehicles, the heave. I can't remember what it was like, HEAVE. I can't remember what it stood for. But yeah, they had to have those special vehicles and suits to be able to go through it to keep from getting torn apart from the gravity the way it.
With the Monarch thing applied to the new Godzilla movies, and I'm not trying to go tinfoil hat conspiracy theory here, but they went way deeper into the possibilities of it than any other movie franchise has ever tried.
Oh yeah,
That Monarch project actually tied into a lot of real world things that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they heavily explained that. So they either really, really sat down and thought this out, or they got some information from somewhere and kind of expounded
How
on
many
it.
times have we said that movies may actually be revealing details that they're just trying to slowly introduce to the population so it doesn't freak you out so much when it happens? Soft disclosures, right?
Yep.
Pagan's got it right. Soft disclosures.
Yep.
Lone Queen says dragons are supposed to come from the Dragon's Triangle. Yeah, if dragons weren't real, why are they mentioned so many times in the Bible? And dragon stories exist in every culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said it plenty of times that the word dinosaur was not used until the 1800s.
Right. So how would they have described basically a T-Rex?
Yep.
1,000 years before the word dinosaur was ever invented. Dragon probably would have been the word they used.
Yep.
I truly believe that whatever is down there in the Mariana Trench ties in to the damage done to that Seawolf class attack sub, and they still won't talk about that.
Well, think about, and I know that movie was tongue in cheek, and it knew what it was, but I honestly believe that the opening story from the movie The Meg with Jason Statham, I believe that's what they were talking about, was that particular story. And of course, they changed some things around with it, but I mean, I believe it was based on that.
Yeah. And for the sake of Hollywood, because they always want to show their actors, that's why they were in subs that could go down that deep and you could still see them. Even with modern top end technology, you're basically descending in a giant bathysphere. They're massively thick. You couldn't have viewports like that where you could see them just out in the open fly. Yeah, that wouldn't work. But that doesn't mean that story isn't based on something that actually happened. I mean, how many real world times have we talked about, like when we did the shark episodes? How many real world sightings, modern sightings, did we talk about in the Meg?
Yep.
And there are pictures that are proven that they're not doctored or not AI generated. They were taken in the 40s, like that one was supposedly taken off the bow of the German submarine, that showed the tail fin and the dorsal fin of a shark that was longer than the submarine.
Quite a bit longer than the submarine. I truly believe that the Meg still exists. I would say there's probably not many of them. They probably just barely have a breeding population, but we don't know because we've explored 5% of our danged ocean.
Yep.
They could be a lot more prevalent than we will ever know.
I think that black demon. I think that's that. I think that's a
Oh,
megalodon.
look how freaking deep the Gulf is out there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Baja Mexico area. That Gulf between Baja Mexico and Mexico is freaking deep. Did you
Yep.
watch that movie, The Black Demon?
Mm-hmm.
Not great.
No, it wasn't
It
bad,
was
but
worth watching. I mean, I definitely don't regret watching it. It could have been better.
honestly, for a shark movie though, it was better than the Meg.
The Meg was, especially the second one. The second one was so cheesy.
Yeah.
I really wanted more out of the Meg movies.
If that movie had been made more closely tied to the book, it would have been a great movie.
Yeah, the book was much
The
better.
book was great.
The book was not done tongue in cheek. The movie kind of was.
But I just yes, it's like we say with the national forest. You know what can hide in 88 million acres of forest.
Hell of a lot.
So take that and multiply that by what 400 as to what could be hiding on the Earth's oceans.
I'm going to do something that's probably going to blow my mind. How many acres cover all of Earth's oceans and seas? uh, you want to take a shot, Robbie?
450 million. I'm just throwing a number out there.
If you take into effect all of the oceans and seas, it accounts to, and this is just on the surface, we're not talking depth, just on the surface, accounts for 37.5 billion acres of the planet.
So how dumb are people that say there's absolutely no way that something like this could exist?
It's more acreage than I thought it was going to be. I figured it'd be high, but not 37.5 billion.
Well, how astronomically stupid is a number like 450 million? And that didn't even scratch the surface of what it actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, 37.5 billion acres of just surface water. That's not counting how much depth is underneath it. Well, Lone Queen says, didn't they catch a video of an unknown black shark off the Australian coast while doing shark research? They've spotted a number of sharks off of the Great Barrier Reef, including one time where professional shark divers were off the Great Barrier Reef and they were feeding sharks from a cage, and they had what they described as a 22-footer, a 22-foot great white, and all of a sudden all the little sharks around them took off, and the 22-footer turned and dove. Something scared them off. They never saw what scared them, but every one of the sharks, including a Goliath 22-foot great white, took off. You could be something pretty dang big to frighten a 22-foot shark.
Yeah.
But the shark researchers said they never saw what it was, but they had a feeling that something outside of their depth of vision was circling the area, because all of the sharks they said there were like dozens of sharks just swimming around them getting food, and they were feeding some of them, and all of a sudden the little ones just took off like a bat out of hell, and just a couple seconds later the big one dove and went over the deep end of the Great Barrier Reef and vanished. CD Squatcher says, Dicyanin glasses on Amazon in 4 different colors. Oh. Well, I would very much like to have a set of the red ones. I'll have to look at and see how much they are on Amazon. Probably won't be able to get them right now because, like I said, right now I would have to finance bubblegum, but we'll see how things go after the convention. I'm going to look them up. Dicyanin glasses. There's some blue ones called colortherapy glasses, $15. These are indigo, which is just a very dark blue. Find them blue. The yellow ones are polarized for night vision driving. There's some green ones.
I wonder if that's what the ones Doc's got. I wonder if that's what those.
Polarized ones. Yeah, I would say they probably are. I'm not seeing any red ones. I found blue and I found green. Oh, here's some red ones. These are labeled as maximum protection sleep glasses for blocking blue-green light. But they're not actually labeled dicyanin. These are retro gothic steampunk glasses, just red plastic lenses. Hey, it doesn't say anything dicyanin though. These are red. Here's a set. Say Sleep Savior Deluxe Lens Night Glasses. These are red for $59. It doesn't say anything about them being dicyanin though. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at here.
Does the company that those came from, do they have them in red too, or do they just have them in blue?
I only saw them in blue. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't have them in red, but the only ones I saw. You know what? I'm gonna go to their website. What did I say it was?
Like auraglass.com.
Yeah. Aura glasses. .net.
Right.
Auraglasses.net. That's not it. There's officialauraglasses.com. They're advertising them for ghost hunters. They're only showing them in blue. Yeah, the only ones this website has are in blue. Let me see if I can find.
Arlen says he's worked under infrared lights for so long, the color red has affected his vision.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Auraglasses.net went directly to the website. The only thing they have available are blue. They got 4 different kinds. Some of them that are like those steampunk round, like welder's goggles. And there's another pair that's just like basic sunglasses. And then there are 2 pair of different types of goggles, like those old gargoyle sunglasses that go completely over your eyes. That's what I've got, but they've got 2 different ones of those as well. One that's just one solid piece that goes all the way across your eyes with no break in the nose, and then another that's kind of like mine, that has the full frames and then viewports on the side that are blue, but no red. The red's the one I want. Call me kooky. That's what I want.
I wonder if there's some kind of thing that prohibits them from selling the actual red ones in, if that's what it was.
Well, the only pairs I found on eBay were expensive. I'm going to try eBay one more time. See if I can narrow it down a bit. You go to eBay, if you just put in dicyanin glasses, you get a lot of different versions of the blue ones. I'm going to put in specifically red. I found that pair of goggles that I mentioned before for $250, $249.99.
That Kevin said Ben Franklin glasses. That makes sense now. Remember National Treasure when they got those glasses and they had.
Yep. I don't even know what to call those. You could find where you flop in the different.
Yeah. I think the colors were like blue and red and maybe green on those.
Yeah.
Something tells me Nicolas Cage don't need those glasses to see that. I think that's his normal vision.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything like those with the movable.
Good night, Miss Naomi.
Good night, Miss Naomi. Yeah, I'm not finding anything like that. And I've all that of the red ones, I've only found literally two pair. One of them is those red goggles for $250, and then the other one has an auction. They're called rare red quinoline dicyanin goggles, World War II, pre-owned. Bid starts at $580, and you could buy them directly for $815. I'll bring them up. That's a hell of a lot to pay for a pair of glasses, in my opinion. But here, I'll share the screen and show them.
KC wants to know if there's a difference between the World War II glasses and what we use today.
I would say the big difference is the World War II ones are actually made with glass. That's these.
Those are freaky looking.
Yeah, they sure are. I guess it is plastic. It's not red. But these are from World War II, apparently. Made by Polaroid. And this is a different pair that I didn't see before. World War II U.S. Air Force dicyanin goggles. And there's the first ones I found for $250. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't afford any of these right now. I'll just have to make do with the blue ones that I got. But I would definitely like to try these. Bet we'd get some freaky results.
Those look like almost like what Ray wore on Ghostbusters.
Kinda. Well, they're supposedly to see into the spirit world, so maybe that's why Ray wore them. Yeah, these are the cheapest ones I found, but yeah, that's a little out of my price range. So
Spirit and demon goggles. Yeah, that makes you just want to jump on it.
yeah, just jump right out there and grab them. If I had the money, I'd probably buy that $250 pair, just to experiment with. But yeah, that's not likely to happen anytime soon.
No.
Casey says looks like Hellboy gear. It does kind of.
Yeah. Which matter of fact, I think they used goggles in that too, like that.
Yeah, I think there's something to it, and I think there's a specific reason why it's so hard to find the red ones, but you can find the blue ones all over the place. But anyway, heck, it's already 1:15.
Yep.
Went by pretty quick.
It's a good show.
Yeah, folks. Again, a week from tonight, Robbie and I will be at the Ohio conference, the Spirit of the Forest conference, like we talked about on Wednesday. We would love to see you guys there. So we're gonna Robbie's gonna be teaching a tracking class, both a daytime version and a nighttime version. I'll be helping him with that. We'll both be speaking at it. We'll both have books there. Robbie's gonna have some cool ass merch to have that on the table besides his books. I'll bring the dicyanin glasses and we can pass those around if you guys were interested in checking them out. And Robbie and I will be shooting a considerable amount of video while we're there, not only of the convention itself, but of the activities in the tracking class so we can share it on the show.
Yep.
Arlen says, Robbie, if those goggles look so freaky, how freaky does what you see get? Yeah, probably.
It's probably why the goggles look so freaky.
It's probably why they're so expensive, too. Most people aren't just going to buy those on a lark.
That takes a whole new meaning to let's consult the Googles.
Yeah, the Google goggles. I know it's a little bit early, but I think we're going to start winding things down. My back is killing me tonight. I've been trying to sit still as much as I can, but you've probably seen me shifting around a lot. Yeah, again, Miss Lene's right. Help us hit the 10K mark. Make sure you share this with folks and let them know to subscribe and join the channel. We lost ground. We lost a subscriber. So we're 65 away. We were 64 before the show started. But we are 65 away. So apparently we lost somebody. Sorry to hear that, but we did. Hillary says, DA, check out Shuffletime glasses. Shuffletime. I will Google those. I was going to say something else. Yeah, don't forget to join us on Monday night. We will, as far as I know, be doing Monday Mayhem unless something comes up between now and then. So we should be back for Monday Mayhem. We will have a regular show this coming Wednesday. Tuesday, we're going to be on American Whiskey. I'll be sharing the links to that. And maybe hanging out for a little bit after 10 tomorrow night with Brett Sturdivant. So if we do end up going live, I will share the link across my media to let you guys know where. Casey said, Robbie, you're doing a kids class, right?
Yes, we're doing a kids class too.
Should be a lot of fun.
I think that was going to be on Saturday during the earlier time.
I have some good news and some bad news though, folks. The good news is I ordered all of the new books that I have out to have on the table. The bad news is Amazon still hasn't processed the order. So I really don't know if they're going to get here on time. I'm checking the status of the order right now. Because they haven't shipped them. Now they're saying arriving October 29th. That we ordered them weeks ago. They should have been here already. That's really pissing me off.
I love Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. It all says, yeah, too much glare. But all 5 of the books I ordered are saying that they won't be here until October 29th, which is bullcrap. I mean, we ordered them in plenty of time. They should have been shipped long ago. We should have gotten them by now, to be honest. But Amazon sucks sometimes. But they're the only game in town, so what are you going to do? Folks, check out our affiliates. Check out the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical for all your medical needs. For your whether you need a first aid kit, an ouch pouch, or something like that, or all the way up to a full-on trauma kit, check them out. Go to darkangelmedical.com. Use discount code cryptid20 for 20% off your order. Check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. Robbie, you want to show me your new one? Mine's out of reach. This is Robbie's newest acquisition from the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. This one's called the what?
The Deep Six, aptly named Karambit.
It is a very wicked cool knife, and it is also wicked sharp. So check out the folks over at Scallywag Tactical. Don't forget to use discount code DA Roberts 10 for 10% off your order. And check out the good folks over at SigwoArms.com. Sigwo is a great company. They're a gun manufacturing company here in Springfield. They're one of our affiliates. They make everything you need for your pew pew along and your pew pew accessories. They actually are a manufacturer, and they are the only ones licensed to make codename Wild Hunt pew pews. They'll even make Dark Frontiers ones as well. But if you're wanting to get the Team Odin logo on your AR, they're the folks that can do it. Check them out. Use discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off your order, but that does add up pretty fast. I was just over there. You can get, and if you carry anything in the 9mm variety, I picked up 200 rounds of 9mm hollow point for $53. That's like 12 bucks for a box of 50, something like that. $12.99 maybe. You cannot beat that. I mean, I don't know any other gun store in town that's even close, especially for hollow point. Northwoods, I'm right there with you, brother. I keep one of the Dark Angel kits on me at all times. But folks, check out the good folks over at SigwoArms.com. Let them know we sent you. I'm going to try to have some Sigwo Arms stuff on the table, just doing giveaways and things like that. I need to dip back over there before we leave here and pick up some stuff to bring with. So again, check them out. Use discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off your order. Let them know what you want, and the Cody's will work with you to get you what you need. They have everything from pew pews, freedom seeds to whisper pickles, and I'm sure y'all know what I mean by that. It's the cylindrically shaped thing that slips on the end of your distribution device to keep it quiet. They've got all that and optics and everything in between. So check them out. Let them know we sent you. Robbie, tell us where to get your books, bud.
The great, wonderful Amazon.com. That's
the illustrious potentate.
Yep, and check out the newest one is Grail Blood Oath. DA's working on edits on the second Grail book, which is Avalon Rising. And yeah, go check them out. I actually have book one is actually my third highest selling book this month. So apparently there's a lot of people that hadn't read book one that are going back and checking that out. So thank y'all.
My plan is to have the next Dark Frontiers book out before Halloween. Hopefully it'll all be done and edits and cover and everything well before Halloween, so we can get it launched this month. If I have anything to say about it, it'll even be before the convention. So look for another one coming from me very soon. Robbie's about to drop another one very soon, and more release announcements coming on the heels of those. You can find all of my books at Amazon.com or at daroberts.net. We'll hopefully keep you guys occupied for many years to come, and we're very happy to be sharing these stories with you guys. So join us on Monday night as we have our nightly exercise and group storytelling called Monday Mayhem, and you might just get a sneak peek of Robbie's newest project on Monday as well. So make sure you join us for Monday Mayhem. We will be having a big celebration when we hit that 10K mark. We're still planning on things that we'll be doing in the giveaway. But Doc's already promised a spear kit, and Robbie's going to have some books, and I'm going to have some books, and it'll be a good time. So we'll do a 10K gala when we hit it. So folks, again, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for being part of the Nightmare Nation. And as we're going to start winding things down, I always like to mention the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. Check on your friends and family that are veterans or active duty. With the Reserves, National Guard, they're still veterans. Check on all your veteran and active duty friends. Check on your first responder friends, because they see things just as horrible. PTSD is a bastard, and no one should have to fight it alone. Don't let the hard days win, folks. Just remember, we all face those demons. You don't have to face them alone. So reach out to somebody if you need help. If you know somebody that needs help, reach out to them. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care, because 22 a day is 22 too many. Let's get 22 day down to 0, shall we? And if Robbie would mind taking us out with our toast, I'll bring the toast up on the screen, and then I will let Robbie lead us out. I got to find the toast now. There it is. Now it's across the middle of our face. There we go.
Everybody raise a glass. Doesn't matter what it is, just raise a glass. This is from the old Irish drinking song, The Parting Glass. Join us. It says, "But since it fell into my lot that I should rise, and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Slanja Ma, see you Monday night."
Slanja.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. 3 lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty one, a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Bat wings flap, the air grows cold, a chill and trap. But these lawmen, they're ready to fight underneath the pale moonlight. Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl. Together they stand, a force so strong against the evil right in the wrong. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night.